change for me, right? I mean, this is really a very, 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 very difficult time to go meaningfully short for any length of time. This market, you take it for what it gives you every day. I have hedges on for my longer dated stuff. I'm scalping around like Spartan is doing, and we'll see how it plays out. I think this is a great, especially on FOMC days, okay? When we get this is obviously an important one, not so much in terms of the hike itself, but every quarter I continue to reiterate and state the dot plot is all that matters today, okay? Whether it's a little bit dovish, whether it's hawkish, the market will tell us what it thinks, number one. Number two, we have new voting members next year, which are more dovish than some of our hawkish. And thanks to Citrini and John for cleaning that stuff up in terms of what it looks like, okay? This is what you have to focus in on. It does not matter what Powell says. The market is like, who cares? They care what the Fed thinks going forward. This is all backwards. We're looking at forward. That's why the dot plot's so important. Okay. All right. What happened? Yeah, look. This is a random walk theory when it comes to crude oil stocks. They are really right on, spot on. So they were looking for a big draw. Well, guess what? They had big draws 2 weeks prior. Now we got to build. So it's like, okay, whatever. Right? We're seeing a little bit of an unwind. We'll talk about the commodities. So FOMC day is a very, very important day as well on the commodity side, in particular, the US dollar and gold. Right, so we have to keep that. I do have hedges on in my gold position. I did take a little bit off, but this is a long-term, multi-year trade for me, and you know that, and I'm sticking to it. BTFD for me, any meaningful drop, you got it, I'm on it. So now I'm going out to 2025 on my GDX and GLD trades, okay? What came out of Japan, tanking, manufacturing is better than expected, huh? Okay, worse than expected, better than expected, worse than expected. Well, anyways, the problem in Japan, and this is not rocket science, the government owns the bonds and the stocks. I mean, they're the biggest investor, right? Citrini is better with this stuff than I am, but no good comes from this. Whether you basically, they've kicked the can down the road for decades. I'm not talking years here. This has been going on for 30 years now, okay? Eventually, okay, something's going to happen here. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if they start raising rates, right, then their bond portfolio is going to, you're talking huge losses, right? So we shall see. Capacity utilization better, worse, okay? Out of India, manufacturing better, worse, and in India, worse. Oh, better on the inflation side. So UK, better, as better. And 0.3. Like I said, for me, 2023, and I continue to discuss this. This is my narrative for 2023, and I've articulated this. I still think overseas investments will outperform U.S. investments, unless you, in terms of indices, if you're looking at individual stocks, that's obviously a totally different narrative, right? I think that gold will have a kick-ass, and I think 2023 will be the year of the bond. Okay, U.S. bonds. I mean, you're talking massive potential rallies going on. Okay, REITs, all this sort of stuff. Everything's just going to, start ripping. Okay. All right, the 30-year mortgage, no change there really, right? Market index is up a little bit. Purchase index is up a little bit. Refinance is up a little bit, and there you go. Applications are up slightly, right? Export imports, manufacturing sales month over month, that has not come out. We have And then we have the EI, but I mean, we're not going to stay that, we're going to stay pretty damn close to home. There might be a sell-off, slight sell-off into the FOMC, just people kind of trimming stuff. It's really hard because it is quad witching. Because a lot of the volume we're seeing is actually based on quad witching. So it's really, really difficult. Okay. All right. Yay. Weber. Let's go and play it. Adobe's going to be fun, right? Thursday? I think so. Winnebago can be fun. Look, this is where Spartan's technical prowess and all of the software that he has that his scanners and stuff gets us into stuff. I think I'll be probably more active on the small cap low floats today. I suspect that in a day like today, we'll probably see a lot more of that. We've been seeing it, and we'll just keep an eye on that. But I suspect that might be what happens. Yesterday, right? Energy, right? Communications, right? Real estate. Okay. And that's what you would expect, right? If the pivot's going to start happening, is the real estate, this market's going to start ripping. Okay. So here's crude. So basically, right here, December 9th, okay, was a timing cycle. Okay. This is timing 23 days down, and you can see this 23 days down, 23 days down. Okay. So now it should probably rally. Well, so look, the quality of the bounces have been anemic, but I mean, in theory, it should get above. Okay, this EMA. Okay, this is the 3 EMA on the daily. In theory, and that's why I said to you the other time we rallied, right? I didn't like the quality of the bounce. It didn't pierce through this top here, this plateau. So that was, it actually made a lower high, which made me not so happy. Owner's equivalent rent of residencies. So in the South, there's a lot of renting going on. Small business compensation plan, yeah. This has to come down. Both large and small businesses. Okay. Look, I mean, there's so many things you can do to mitigate your costs, right? As a CFO, right? You only have so many levers in your toolbox, so many tools in your toolbox, whatever, okay? How do you cut expenses, okay? You lay off, right? Okay, that's one way, right? Then you basically try to get rid of inventory as fast as you can. You have the bandage off and you do that, okay? This is the next thing. I mean, you're going to continue to see layoffs. And I think these compensation packages, these CEOs it's just terrific. I mean, the optics are really, really, really stupid. Okay. And it's not good business sense. Okay. You want to turn things around lean and mean? Guess what? Everybody has to chip in. Okay. So days since yield curve inverted. This is why it's so complicated. It's just so complicated. We just haven't seen anything like this ever. So it's like, what the hell do we do here? Oh, just saying. All right, signs of excessiveness and extremism. This is actually kind of cool. This is from a university printout. Okay, large number of IPOs. We check. No mergers, check. No IPOs, check. No money, check. Okay, low price to sales, EV, EBITDA. And then, money companies trading below book value, very low. So a lot of these basically are checking a lot of boxes, right? But when you have a commodity super cycle, you have to factor that in, okay? No matter how you slice and dice it, you gotta factor that in, right? Okay, you'll be changing consumer price index, yeah, but it's still 6%. It's still 6%. Look, it's going to be a function of consumers, right? And they think that this inflationary is going to be stickier than other people think. And, And then, look, let's say a lot of the reasons a lot of people bought so much is because they had deferred payments, right? 12 months out. Okay, so don't forget about that. All right, let's see the dude. This is what it looks like. Here's your gamma. Here's all your Greeks, yada, 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 the backs, you name it. He's got it out here for you just to show you for all of our wonky peeps out there. All right, Canada bans crypto leverage. God bless. Oh, Canada. That beaver. Japan's bank could suffer 1 trillion in bond losses. It's going to be a hell of a lot more than that. Okay. At stake is around 1.1 trillion held by mega banks and regional lenders. Yeah. Look, like I say, you're talking, this has been going on since the 1990s. Okay. When you had that bubble, right, where all the Japanese individuals were buying, Hawaii, New York, all that stuff at the high. Anyways, so sad, too bad. China's GDP, oh, they're not going to like this headline. It is going to take time because, I mean, in some ways, obviously it's a developed country, right? But in some ways it's still emerging. Okay, that's why a lot of these names are still an emerging market ETF. It's because there's parts of China that is emerging, right? Case reporting, yeah, we know that. Look, the sin for this is the Chinese government didn't do what they needed to do because of pride, okay, to protect their citizens from COVID. They are not vaccinated. Now, granted, we have that COVID antiviral now, which mitigates a lot of these symptoms and stuff like that. But getting it to your citizens, anyways, Hong Kong takes biggest ever fall in global power city rankings. Woo! There's skirmish going on, you know that. Indonesia Alpha Mode operated to open 1,000 Lawson stores. Wow, cool. Right. China deals hammer blow to Russia's war effort. Hey, we're not going to give you the chips. I'm sure this is part of the deal. Look, China's nibbling around the edges to basically make nice. I said nibbling around the edges, right? Okay, if they want to be, and Xi, this is what Xi wants. You can see his plan 5 to 10 years down the road, right? He can't be mucking around with Russia. That's just bad optics, right? All right, Sam Bankman, this dude, did they give him bail? They're talking about giving him bail. Talk about a flight risk. He's a joke. Just a joke. Rose, you know that. DeSantos, oh my God, are we starting already? Yes, we are. All right, so it's right now, Pence, Trump, and DeSantos. We gotta get my girlfriend Nikki up there. I think she would kick ass. Can you imagine Nikki Haley? U.S. is finalizing plans to get Patriot missiles. We know that. Scientists, we know this. This is actually so friggin' super cool, right? Supermarkets are doubling down on their store brands. Yeah, I see no problem with that. I mean, their store brands are actually made by brands. It's like, okay. All right, so it's just not me, friends. I mean, I'm telling you, Barron says it is the dot plot that will drive the market. Even Barron says this, okay? So we're not talking rocket science here, okay? I'm just watching my P&L in my main account. It's like, it's up $75. It's just like, okay, this is fun, right? So yeah, we got that. Howell's gonna talk, you know, hawkishness, whatever. Nobody's gonna, you notice how we're desensitized to this, right? These Fed heads talking, it's like, whatever. You know, it's like, okay. What do we got? It's not what I wanted. Let's see here. Apple, along third-party app stores, is more bulk than bite. SoFi stock rises, it buys 5 million. Okay, it's about freaking time on that one, dude. I actually have a teeny tiny position in SoFi right now. I mean, I figure it's $4, right? What's it gonna do? I mean, seriously, buy a few hundred shares, just put it in a corner. Who cares, right? Anyways. I agree, twins, on that, Dal. It just shows that Delta is just amazing, right? I don't know. They're pretty accurate, though. I wouldn't bet against them. It's a very, I think it's a really well-run organization, obviously. They have top-notch leadership. Poised to hike week, 5 below, Tractor Supply, make the base top 22. That's interesting. List, while AutoZone, Best Buy on the void list. Interesting. It's kind of interesting, right? I kind of like that 5 below, though. Even the Tractor Supply. I haven't traded Tractor Supply in a while. I might do that as a seasonality trade for my peeps in class today. So we'll see. Surges 30% as Sanofi plans to advance drug after promising data. Nice for Chimera, right? KYMO, that had action yesterday. Right? Somebody always knows something. Damnation. Yeah. Let's see if that's on Spartan's honeydew list today. Let me see what he's got. Pre-markets on list. Nope. Okay, what else? I don't know what, Asian markets, what do we got? Power producer to sell stake in green energy business. China Financial Futures Exchange address rules for new option products. Places Iraq as top oil supplier to India. India regulator planning micro. Global investors fly blind into Chinese business. Yeah, we know. All right, so here we go. This is the dot plot. So what I do is I always put this, I stick it in my folder, I print it out, and then I put it in my online. I have folders for this, FOMC folders, and we will see what it is, right? Okay. So what do we need to see? We need to see a shift down for 2023 and 2024. Okay. So what we want to see is this shift down for the next 3 years, 23, 24, 25. Okay, that's what we need. I do think we get it. It's anemic. This is why when I say it's equity based, when something sells off or goes up, it's because I see absolutely no option buying, right? So that doesn't mean it's not valid. It just means I see no option buying. It's all equity selling or buying, okay? So that means institutional, right? So, you have to understand when I'm relaying the information to you, friends, it's because I don't see it. I don't see any flows in it. If I don't see flows, it's equity. And if it's a lot of equity, it's someone knows something and it's institutional. Just saying. I got a little flack yesterday from it. That's why I'm explaining myself. All right, what do we have? All right, I love to see what comes in at the end of the day. Look at that little sneaker. QQQ. All right, so see, little hedges going on here. Let's see what the top dogs were. Morgan Stanley, 95 calls. That's paper replacement. Albemarle, that was a big deal. Obviously, that's a trade actually, because it's so far out of the money. That's a bet, right? BlackRock, I exited my BlackRock. Number one, it was a very expensive option spread. So I made like, 60, 70% on it. I just think that there's better places to be. And if I had out of the money strikes on BlackRock that weren't so friggin' ass expensive, okay, then I would, start to say, hey. So anyways, that's my story. Okay. I don't know, firefight. Powell, by the grace of God, he's not nailing it. He's incompetent. That's all I have to say. It just so happens it's happening, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. I'm just saying, I mean, this is, if it happens, it's like winning the Kabillion lottery for him. His odds were 1 in a billion. I really am very harsh on him. He's not even qualified. He's not even an economist. It's a political appointment. Anyways, sorry, I'm getting my opinions out. I have to stifle them a little bit. Yep. Okay, what do we got? Nothing really juicy. A little bit. This Wolverine Worldwide, WWW, right? So, I don't know. All right, here we are. Insider sells Warby Parker. Those are all tied to options. This time of year, this is what you're going to see. A lot of this stuff is going to be tied to options. So, and it should not be surprising, right? Let's do it. Let's get to it. What are my rankings? I hate it when they do that. There we go. Now I got it. There we go. All right. Goldman Sachs, Merck, QuantumScape, downgrade. That's a lot. And then Todd, KeyBank, but he's a 70% stud, so we can't ignore him, right? So overweight to sector weight, right? No price targets, right? And then we have some of these, see SYNH, Mizuho, and Studette, 68%, right? And then you have these one, I mean, seriously, Morgan Stanley. This is Morgan Stanley. 18% success rate, 23% success rate, okay? And they raised the prices. What can I tell you? All right, lots of initiations. Well, today. There we go, CLSA, I don't know them, but ZH, Zihu. And then we have Alexei from KeyBank, RPM. Okay. SLDP, I'm actually in this SLDP. Solid Power is a swing. Klein, I'm in this as well, has a swing. Plug, well, I'm in all these names anyways. Bloom Energy is getting some love. This is 65% stud from UBS. So this is what they do. I mean, they all come out, they drop it. Okay, let's see what's going on here in terms of Ring Central. Right. GNTX, interesting, but lower price target, right? So this ring is kind of interesting. 28% pop. I don't normally get involved in these things. Well, I'm looking for more than that on an upgrade or downgrade. So anyways, let's see what's being hyped today. Apple, Coca-Cola, Netflix, Tesla, Wendy's. Nice. Okay. Here we go. This is where we are. Okay. So today tends to be a red day. Okay. And then you got a sea of green, except for some slight red days coming in. So that's the NASDAQ, right? So here's the S&P. S&P doesn't look as bullish, right? So that the focus should be on like high beta tech names, right? This is when they shine. You can see here, same thing. So what am I doing? I'm basically hedging my stuff with, Dow puts and stuff like that. Okay. And here's the Russell. It doesn't have as strong, but it's the second strongest. Okay. And you see in January, it doesn't start out well, but then for the most part, it's a good month for it, right? But obviously, here's the NASDAQ. My goodness gracious. This is why I say it's really, really hard with this type of seasonality strength to, be short this market for any length of time. Okay, because there are buyers that are willing to step in this time of year, right? It's a new year. See what happens with that. Okay. Let us see what's going on here. So you see, bonds. Excuse me. So yeah, it's starting to get rosy red. And you can see here, Brazil is in the shitter. Some of these bonds still. I mean, this is not a bad heat map though. 74, not ideal. So today, if we're red today, then it'll reset a lot of this stuff. Okay, FYI. All right, let's take a move on. Let's see what's going on here. All right, so let's take a look at, the COT, commitment of traders, right? So this is the NASDAQ, right? This is really interesting, I think. All right, so here's hedgers. There's a lot of hedgers, right? But the speculators have been short, right? And they're starting to buy back that, okay? And they started to buy back that a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so this is the low we saw here. That's November 21st. Okay, so we'll see how things play out on that one. Let's look at natty gas. This is really interesting. So the hedges are pretty, in the natty gas world, they don't hedge a lot. It's in the crude world that they hedge a lot, okay? So you can see here that speculators have been selling since November 29th, right? So they've been trying to pick a top, and that's why we've had short squeeze after short squeeze, okay? So today's the first day that it's come back a bit. Let's see if it gets bought up. I think it will. I started trimming yesterday, right? I have a little KOLD on right now. It's a little overweight, but I don't have a very large position on. Okay, so what I'll probably start doing is adding to my boil, keeping the KOLD on, and then increasing my portfolio that way. Okay. There's no reason why, okay, to be honest with you, in terms of natty gas. Well, at boil at least, that we don't get to the 55 EMA, which is 58. I nailed the low there when I shot out at 24.80 for those of you following me on that one. Sold most of it, still had a little piece, got out of that yesterday. And now I'm going to look to re-enter. The only thing that concerned me on boil was the weekly EMA resistance. So a lot of these things, believe it or not, on the commodity side, you know how I like to look at the 50, et cetera, the traditional on the weekly, but for some reason, I don't know why, the 10 EMA on the commodity side weekly tends to be a pivotal point. Okay. Sharing is caring. Okay, so what do we got here? We have the yield curve steepening. Right? And it rates up across the board overseas, right? Except, Asia Pacific Rim. Australia is the only one that's up because it's doing the best, and you see Hong Kong anyways. So here we go. All right, so this is it. This is a narrative. This is a 310, 3-month 10-year. This is my bellwether. You can see right here, beautiful channel on the downside. I still think we get down here, at least. But irregardless, I think because of this extension, how this is coming down, that this would be the counting point right now for the recession to hit. So this is right here, September. So it's a measured move, right? You go back in time and this actually was here and here, right? And then 14 months. I think this is when it's going to be the shit show, is March of 2024. Okay. Okay, 5-year looks like it's literally just hanging here. Okay. Obviously, we need this to break down in terms of yield in order for, I think, this market to have a meaningful continuation rally. Right. Here's the 2.5. I did some extensions. You can see that on this. We continue to hold this little extension pivot that goes. This one goes back to here. No, this one goes back to here. So that's 1996 extension. Look, if you got to look at this stuff, you got to go back in time. You can't look at it daily or weekly. Seriously, I mean, that'll get you into trouble real fast. Okay, same thing happening here. This 210. I think this obviously has to go lower. I mean, that is not, I consider to be rocket science. Okay. So, anyways, and all you have to do is look at macro trends, right? Long-term trends, sorry. And it gives you right there everything you need to know. I already subscribed. I would subscribe to that. You really get a nice monthly in your mailbox, something fun. Okay. Let's look at the 210. Okay. Still, you can see here. And here's the 530. This is really interesting. I mean, you can see here, right, that it had pierced and it's back above here. So this actually is a positive area in terms of yield curve steepening, right? So, that gets back to the construct where, Twins had said shy is an investment. The short end of the curve and the long end of the curve is trading. And I agree with that. I agree with that narrative. I can't argue with that. All right, here's the 10-year. You can see this still holding this breakout pivot right here. Okay. Holding above the bear flag, right? You can see that. It's right there. See how it plays out. This is a monthly chart, so we'll see. Right. All right, here's the Chinese 10-year. You can see here that they're backing down a little bit. I think, like I said, I think this is the new range right here. I think this is the 284 to 295. So that's what I think right now. Germany still hanging in there. This is a triple bottom here. Still flagging interest rates in Germany. Right. Let's talk about the dollar. Okay. All right. The dollar is breaking down here. Bear flag. Next leg down coming. Okay. I still think we have to be really, really, really cautious with this because of the losses on the books and when would they start to, unwinding that trade, right? Oh, Goldman Sachs names Boeing its top aerospace pick. Says orders should grow. Sure, okay, that's cool. Mad shout out to Twins on Boeing. Come on, dude. Conviction, everything, oh, well, okay. I just have so much mad respect for this room. Okay, so. Bitcoin, who cares? I'm serious, who cares? All right, gold. All right, let's do it. This is correct. Gold should come in. This is what I was waiting for. That's why I put on the dust and the hedges, right? Copper's up a little bit. We got crude, then we got the natty dick gas pulled down, right? Okay. So, watch natty gas. I'm going to sell a little bit more if we break this morning's low on Boyle. Okay, 36.79. Like I say, I'm overweight slightly KOLD, so that's my story. Okay, so this is actually bullish for crude, right? It is a heavily traded spread, you know the drill, yada, yada, yada. Right, I go over this ad nauseum. The commodities are spreads, okay? The reason why the spreads is because you have to neutralize the dollar component, right? Anyways. Import prices coming in -6, estimate was -5.5. Ex-petroleum was -0.3. So if you take out the oil component, it was better than expected. Okay, so see how that plays out. Well, a lot of things up. Mostly this should not be surprising on FOMC day, right? Net gas. This is why I started selling. Okay. It still didn't break this downtrend line. So now the question is going to be is whether we hold this reversion back here. Okay, this pivot point, which is 635. Okay, if we do, then obviously we're going to come back down to here, which is 595. And that's why I'm slightly overweight KOLD. Let's do it. Here's MLP. We got to keep an eye on this. All right, this is why the MLP names. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it did revert to the mean and it bounced hard. So just keep an eye on these names. OIH held up really well. Off this, didn't even get down here. Bounced hard. I did buy some Halliburton in one of my accounts. Let's see which account is that one in. Not that one, it's in my other one. No, I don't know where I put it. I'll find it. So it's somewhere here. It's in one of my accounts. Oh, there it is. Okay. I bought it at on the dip. Okay. So PMV. Okay, this is my go-to, right? With the bonds. Okay. So I do rotation every day so that especially since this is, so the way in which I do this, because it's a settlement problem with a lot of these, right, is I always hold a core piece on no matter what. So if need be, okay, it's a settled, so I can always get into it and sell. So I always have a core piece on, and I just buy more of the other side of it. So that I can play around events like this. Okay, just so you know. Okay. All right. So this will be it. So the low here is 103.13. Okay, now I do have TMF, which is the other side of that. I don't know why it's here, but oh, that's why, because it's just supposed to be XLE. There we go. So XLE bouncing, right? Let's see how this plays out. Like I say, the ones that I'm accumulating is Oxy and Fang, and I'm buying some Gush. Okay. As well. That's how I'm playing it. No, just so you know. USO UNG. Okay.
All right, Beth, ready to pop on here whenever.
Yep.
Sorry, guys, just had to reload the platform there. It took me a minute. All right. So, hey, guys, if you guys are new to chat and haven't already done so, make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. You're going to pop into Discord chat. It's going to look something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in, click on that disclaimer section, give that a read, as always, and then go through the new to chat information section. Scroll to the top, read it from the top down, disclaimer section, risk reward section, all this other stuff. Yeah, so give all that stuff a read. I'm going to continue or just jump into that pre-market ticker section right away, just because we do have the YouTube stream on today. So we'll get right into it. And if you guys are popping in from the YouTube stream, thanks for joining us this morning. All right, so what do we got going on today? A couple different things, guys. Tesla, CHTR, SCDG, GDOG, and then RNA, KYMR. So not a whole bunch of stuff moving. Not a whole bunch of stuff moving before the FOMC, but We do have a couple of different little gap ups. We were talking, on Monday this week, and we were talking about how there's going to be a lot of biotech data coming out this week, and we're seeing a lot of that. We're also seeing a lot of analysts upgrade downgrades this week, so that's pretty good. So let's take a look at what we got going on today. Couple different things. One sec. There we go. This KYMR, I'm just going to post this one. So gapping up, so Tesla gapping down in continuation from last day's move. There you go. CHDR Charter Communications set to open lower following investor meeting. SEDG Charter Communication. See, this is what I mean. This is some of the stuff's kind of screwed up. SEDG, there was a upgrade on it. On this one, I'm gonna find it. Upgraded to overweight at Barclays. DDOG Oppenheimer upgrades them to outperform $105 price target. RNA avidity bolstered by data RNA therapy delivered to MUSC, gapping up on that. There we go. Just wanted to fix that one. And then KYMR, Chimera's stock rallies as it plans to move treatment into phase 2 studies next year. So let's take a look at all these names from a technical standpoint intraday. Again, not a lot moving today before FOMC, so it's mainly going to be, pretty much, I would think you get a morning gap up, gap down, whatever on the market, a little bit of a movement there, individual name movement, and then we basically going to be waiting for the FOMC all day. It's going to be probably trading within a really tight range. Then after that, we should have some nice range setups, upside, downside, whatever. I'm just going to quickly reload this platform because this one crashed again. And we'll go from there. As you can see, that Tesla's actually pulling back down towards that 155.40 area. That's going to be a big key level. We're going to be keeping an eye on that one this morning. I'll show you guys in just a second once this other platform loads up, which it is slowly. Oh, maybe not. Come on. There she is. Okay, so first two names we're going to be looking at today, guys, we got Tesla, and then we have CHTR. So let's have a gander at both of these. So Tesla, we obviously got that little gap down on the daily there. And this is what I wanted to show you guys. I'm just going to label this level right here. So it has H pattern to the downside, broke that recent range lower. Definitely looking a little bit on the heavy side here. Let's go back. There we go. So this is that pivot. This is actually, sorry, 156. No, 155.85. There we go. I knew it was around there. Alrighty. It is an ugly looking chart on Tesla, isn't it? So pivot to the downside, in my opinion, today is going to be that 155 level. We'll call it 155.92. If that level is able to hold today, we do have room back towards 165.38 to 177.64. Pivot unable to hold on Tesla. We're going to have room down into the 140. I'm sorry, guys. Into that 145.53 support, in my opinion, to 136.25 are the next two levels I have on the downside as supports. Overall, in my opinion, going to be leaning bearish on Tesla. Going to be looking for continuation lower if that pivot point is unable to hold. So pivot point would need to break in order to get that continuation lower. That is a strong pivot point area on the daily chart. Let's take a look at CHTR here. So CHTR, a little bit of a gap down there, 357 a share. Pretty big move, actually. You're below that recent range low, which is a pretty big level. That's that. That's that. Let's get that pivot point right there. Okay, let's take a look at this thing intraday here. So breaking back below 50 EMA, breaking back below actually all EMA support to the downside. 365.06 will be the pivot to the downside, in my opinion, today. Levels unable to hold 359.96 to 347.33 is the next two support levels I have. Able to hold the pivot, I have 377 to the 386.83 level as the next two support levels on the upside. Overall, in my opinion, I'm going to be leading on the bearish neutral side today, looking for continuation lower if that pivot point is unable to hold. So that is CHTR, that is Tesla. Let's take a screenshot of these. Let's move on to the next two. All right, so let's Tesla, that's CHTR. Next two names is SCDG and DDOG. So SCDG, nice little gap up, not much, but you know, had a decent little upgrade there from Barclays. Let's take a look at what we got going on today. These solar names have been pretty strong as of late. Definitely notable. Pivot to the upside today, 334.87. Levels able to hold 341.07 to 345.62. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback to 328.66 to 323.70 on the downside. Overall, on SCDG, going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point is able to hold. So that is SCDG. Let's take a look at DDOG here. 82.28. $81.37 pivot to the upside today. Level holds 84.57 to 86.93 would be the next two levels, in my opinion. Unable to hold 79.01 to 76.85 would be the next support on the downside. Overall, in my opinion, it's going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a hold of that pivot for continuation push higher. Like the daily chart, looks good for continuation, in my opinion, higher. It's been fighting to hold above that 50, man. It's doing a pretty good job. So I'm thinking that pivot can hold, in my opinion, today. It's got some room for continuation higher. Now we're just talking about really the morning, guys. Because obviously with FOMC coming out today, it's going to move things whatever way the market's going to move. So this is just for the, I think mainly the morning or the open. Let's take a look at RNA and this KYMR actually. All right, pivot to the upside today is going to be the 1520 level, in my opinion. That level is able to hold. You have room towards 1621 to the 1690 level. Unable to hold 1450 to the 1360 level on the downside. In my opinion, only going to be leaning bullish on this name if the pivot can be reclaimed out the gate and you get a little bit of a push. Otherwise, I think it's going to come in. So watch that pivot point this morning. It's either going to get a nice little push or it's going to get some profit taking right away, in my opinion, out the gate. Let's take a look at this KYMR. So nice little gap up. It looks like it's 31.497. Some decent data came out on this one. 35.14 pivot level holds 37.58 to 39.16, unable to hold 33.09 to 30.75 level on the downside will be tested. Overall, in my opinion on this KYMR, going to be leaning bullish only if that pivot point can hold as well. So just like this RNA, either it reclaims out the gate and get a push or not. So that's that. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. Screenshot these two. Let's move on. All right, guys, market. What do we got going on today? So pretty much opening up flat from last day's close. Not surprising there. Pivot to the upside today, in my opinion, will be 401.50. That level holds 405.19, 408.84. I'm going to put some resistance levels on the upside here from before. I'm just going to relabel them. And then unable to hold 397.99, 394.25. Now I'm leaning more on the bullish side out the gate today. I'm looking for a pivot hold and a little grind higher, bullish neutral type of move, in my opinion. Just because we kind of gave back all of last day's move. CPI data was, favorable, but obviously the market didn't like the risk reward into FOMC. So I think we can grind a little bit higher. I don't expect huge moves either way. I'm probably going to look to stay away for the most part from the SPX unless we have some decent range this morning, just because all the contracts are going to be super duper juiced up for anything that's somewhat within the first, I would say 60 to 70 points of the SPX. May make sense to trade a little bit of SPY, but I still think you got to be very careful there. So I think it's more so individual focused this morning, but I'll be leading bullish neutral on that name as long as the pivot can hold. Apple will be thinking the same thing. 145.12 pivot holds, 146.22, 147.22 next two resistance levels I have on the daily to the upside. Unable to hold 144.24 to 142.55 of the next two supports that I have on the downside. And overall on Apple, I would be leaning bullish neutral, kind of same thoughts as the SPY there. Not really looking to do much on it, in my opinion. But, to each their own, you can do whatever you want. It's up to you. Let's take a look at Amazon. 92.55 is where we're at. Get last day's high. Gonna get the EMA support, resistance, or support levels here on the daily. Get that resistance there. And we'll get that little level right there as well. Kind of a tight range on this one. Amazon pivot to the upside today is 92.24 in my opinion. Level holds 94.35 to 96.20 of the next two resistance levels I have. Unable to hold 90.77 to 88.18 of the next two support levels I have on the downside. Maybe leaning bullish neutral on Amazon if the pivot point can hold this morning. Let's see what happens. But yeah, overall, I think it looks okay on the daily, in my opinion, because it is reclaiming short-term EMA support, and it did hold that bottom end range as of late. It actually surprised me that it held that. Let's take a look at Netflix. Excuse me, sorry guys. Excuse me. Get last day's low. Let's get this recent range low on the hourly, as well as this one right there. Get that resistance there. So you do have this little flag that's formed on the daily. We'll see if it's able to actually break through today. If anything would be on that daily FOMC, right? Release. Pivot to the upside today is what I'll use here at 317.42. If that level stays intact, you got room to 323.53 on the upside. In my opinion, unable to hold, you don't have, or you got room lower towards 308.98 on the downside. And I would be leaning more on the bullish neutral side of this name as well, Netflix, in my opinion, if that pivot point can stay intact. I like the daily chart. It is actually flagging. So we'll see what happens in that regard. Let's take a look at Meta. So they did have news about the bipartisan bill to ban TikTok this morning, but it's not really doing anything based off of it. Pivot to the upside today, 120.71. Level holds 123.30. Unable to hold 118.66 on the downside. And overall on Meta, I'd be leaning more on the bearish neutral side today. Just, in my opinion, I think it feels a little bit heavy and it hasn't been able to really go. So a little bit bearish out the gate this morning, and we'll see what's what after that. Screenshot this. Let's move on to Google. Probably be leaning in the same way as Google here. Yeah, so it's been kind of stuck in this little range, unable to break back above it. Yeah, it did have a nice little bounce, retested it, but realistically, it did get rejected there. in my opinion. 96.04 pivot to the downside today, in my opinion, unable to hold. We have room to the next two support levels, which I have on the daily, are 94.02 to 91.63. Able to hold the pivot 97.59 to 99.70. So going to be leaning bearish neutral, in my opinion, looking for continuation lower if that pivot point's unable to stay intact this morning or unable to reclaim. So that is the SPY, that is the FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today. Going to go ahead, pass it over to South Beach while I type up that pre-market action plan, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. South Beach, if you're ready, she's all yours for now.
Hey guys. Okay. All right, Fed day. I woke up this morning, I thought it was Thursday, so a little bit of a bummer when I figured out it was Monday and Wednesday, but feels like a pretty full week already. Anyway, so we got the Fed meeting, the 10 years unchanged at 351. Down a long way from where it was, right? 430-ish, and the spread has narrowed somewhat. We're at 69. We were, I think, at a high of 80 something. So the bond market is becoming a little more, slightly more normalized, but still, that's a pretty big inversion nonetheless. Okay, looking over in London, their 10 years unchanged, and their short-term rates are coming down. So that inversion is getting a little less than it was. Where we at, like 0.11, we're at 0.2. And rates are pretty up a little bit in Germany, a little bit in France, et cetera, et cetera. So rates up just a bit, nothing major. And we have the Fed meeting to give us guidance later, right? So let's see what else is going on. Let's look at commodities. Oil's up a bit, might because of this China saying they want to increase consumption and investment to expand domestic demand. That may put a little bit of bid behind some of these commodity stocks. I see they're down this morning, but we'll see if that changes. So oil's up just a little bit. Natural gas is down some. Gold down, so that means the dollar's probably up a little bit. Wheat has gotten absolutely smashed. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. It's gone from 1,300 to 743. The 1,300 was kind of unrealistic, but if you take those aberrations out, it's gone from 1,100 to 740, which is a pretty big move. And most of these agricultural commodity stocks are basically, a lot of the volatility has been taken out of these stocks. They've been trading in narrow ranges, pre-pandemic levels, it's pre-war levels, et cetera, et cetera. So that market has certainly calmed down. Looking at currencies, dollars up against North America, down again against the yen. It was what, 151, now it's 135, and they still have their 10-year at 0.25. So maybe they had something figured out pretty good over there. US dollar against the Chinese currency is flat at 695. Quiet over in Europe as well, 106 and 123 respectively with the euro and the pound. So quiet in that front also. So there again, a lot of volatility sucked out of currencies, a lot of volatility sucked out of commodities. Crypto, we know this had a lot of volatility sucked out of that today. Over the last whatever, Bitcoin's up 0.5%, Ethereum's up 0.75%, Solana's up 2%, but that's 29 cents. The only interesting thing about Bitcoin, in my estimation, is we had some news from Binance that doesn't really bode that well, that run on the USD stablecoin, and Bitcoin's up nonetheless. So this is the first time you've really seen not good news. I don't want to call it bad news, but I'd say not good news and a rally. So with good action, which is maybe, I don't know. That's what I look for a turn in the market, but we'll see, right? And let's look at the foreign markets. I don't trade those, so you know, it doesn't really matter. It's just an opinion, and I don't trade them, so whatever. The FTSE's dead flat. The DAX is down 68, which is in a percentage, 0.5%. Nikkei was up 0.75%. China is dead flat, and Hong Kong is pretty flat as well. Okay, so super amount of volatility coming out of the tape is what I can see. So we have the banks and the Fed, right? We have the Fed meeting today at 2 o'clock. All right, we'll see what he has to say. We'll be watching for that terminal rate. The last time they spoke about a terminal rate, it was 462. Right now, the street consensus is 483. Goldman commenting on it this morning, they say, they're really unclear whether it's going to be 4 3/4, 5, or 5 to 5 1/4. We'll see. I think his verbiage is going to be hawkish, but we'll see. We do have a press conference at 2:30. The first move on Fed Day is always the wrong move. Wait for the big move. Okay, don't get sucked into the BS that goes on before the big move. And the following day usually reverses the big move from the day before. Okay, that has worked pretty much every time over the last couple of years. Okay, so that's how I trade it. You guys do what you want, but that's how I always look at the market. I try, when this news comes out, I sit on my hands and wait for the move, wait for the press conference, wait for the big move. I don't need to get whipped around. It's not for me. Okay, so that's what's going on with that. Okay, China, what's going on? I just read you, they want demand to go up, so they're going to try to spur demand. They're not going to release anything but symptomatic cases for COVID. I don't think that's really important. What is important is basically that country's in a recession. The property market is a joke. And we'll see what's what. We're in much better shape than these guys. First of all, we have energy. They have none. Okay. That's the main thing going on here. And the economic war continues. We'll see what happens with that. It's not changing anytime soon. And I know everybody's talking about getting rid of TikTok. I think eventually it'll be banned, but we'll see. Okay. A lot of, I never heard of this chat GPT before until we spoke about it. We started talking about it, the end of last week. And now you can't avoid reading about it. So this developers like it. Google addressed it this morning, basically saying that we're going to do what we want in AI at our own pace and our own methodology, and we're not going to be influenced by chat GPT. Easy to say, harder to do. We'll see what happens. If they start taking market share, I would imagine Google will get more aggressive, but we'll see. Okay, so we had the Fed thing, we had that. What else is going on today? Goldman is saying that they see in 23, 3 25 basis point rate increases. So they see the 50 today, and they see 3 raises of 25 and 23. We'll see how that works out for them. Okay, Delta. Ed Bastian was on today. He's a very good CEO. He expects a revenue jump of 20% in 23, and he sees earnings in 23 of $6. So what are they trading at? Oh, like a 5 and change PE. All right. They see cash flow in 23 of $2 billion, in 24 of $4 billion. They have their analyst day today. All this sounds really good, but these stocks, to me, when I look, I don't care what the hell he says, to be honest. Okay. What's the action in airline stocks? It's down. What do I plan to do? Look for any weakness to short these stocks. Okay. I don't give a shit what he says. All right. The point of least resistance in these stocks is down, and he can spit wooden nickels for all I care. Okay. I'm going with the trend. All right. If I don't see any weakness, I'll lay off. I'm not going to short him out of the gate. I'm going to wait to see a little weakness. And then if there is some, I'll get involved. All right. And I do plan to be as flat as a pancake by 2 o'clock when the Fed starts to talk. Okay. Just so you know. Okay. Mortgage applications rose a little bit for the week, but they're down 38% year over year. Kiev getting hit by drone attacks. The new shipment of Iranian drones hit. We're sending Patriot missiles over there. Rumors of Belarus getting involved in the fighting. Nothing good is happening in Ukraine. That's the bottom line there. Crypto, Sam Bankman-Fried was denied bail. He's trying to fight extradition. I will predict he will not be out of the jail for 30 years. He will never see the light of day between now and 30 years from now. Okay, they are going to make an example of this guy. And I wouldn't want to be him. He 115 years in prison would be what he would serve if they got him on all these counts. And his life is effectively over for all intents and purposes. All right, Mike Wilson spoke. He says he sees the S&P falling to between 3,000 and 3,300. He said 22 was a valuation compression year because of higher interest rates. He thinks 23 will see a decline in earnings. So right now, the SPY, Wall Street is looking for, in 22, it looks like 218 bucks. They're saying in 23, they'll make 230, okay? He's saying 195. So if you go from 218 to 195, and you, fucking calculate 195, and you can put a PE, I think we're trading at what, 17 PE now, or 18? Let's see, 201, where's the S&P? 401 divided by, what is it, 212? Where are we? Here we are. 218. So we're trading at an 18 PE. If he's right, okay, you won't trade at an 18 PE because your growth will be gone. So the PE should be 16 or lower. And at 16 times, we're at 3,100. So that's how he gets his numbers, guys. All right. 3 million a pop, Money Manly. That's like a drop in the bucket. I think we've given him 34 billion so far. So, and if he's wrong, twins. What can I tell you? This is what he's saying. He's been right. So you got to give him his due. Okay. This is what he's saying. The guy's been right. Okay. Dead right. All right. So that's that. And that's Mike Wilson. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Until he's wrong, we're going to keep talking about him. Howard Marks, Oak Tree. The guy, if you don't know who he is, he's like a Wall Street legend. Okay. He's saying this is the third sea change in his 53-year career. He said that the 2009 to 2021 were low but full return market, okay, with lower interest rates. He says going forward, he sees the bond market as a great place to invest, high quality income, without a lot of credit risk. And he says rates will stay high even if there's a recession. But he thinks, the rates now, we won't see those low rates again, no matter what. So his base case is rates will stay between the 2% and 4% range. Okay. And he likes the credit market a lot better than the stock market. And what's his name is saying, Rick Reader is saying the same thing. So I think really there's a real challenge for equities in this environment. And quite frankly, I'm thinking of taking my relatives out of equities altogether and putting them into bonds, especially, the older crowd. All right. If you're over 75 years old, you don't need this aggravation. All right. Go into bonds. You should be able to make between 6% and 7% with your eyes closed. And quite frankly, I don't think the stock market will return that over the next 10 years. Just my opinion. You guys do what you want. Okay. I love trading stocks. That's not going to change. But as far as a decision between stocks and bonds, it's been no decision for a long time. I think going forward, it's different. Okay. And that's that. Katie Stockton, who's been right also, you may not like to hear what she has to say, but she thinks that the relief rally is almost over. One of her DeMark indicators went to a sell signal for the first time in a year. And she thinks we'll have, maybe the market will hold up through the year of the end of the year, but we'll see a retracement come January. She sees additional downside risk in Bitcoin as well. Okay, so that's her. So two guys who've been right. Let's see if they continue to be right. As far as numbers are concerned, you got the delta, which I talked about. KYMR was positive phase 1 data. RNA had positive phase 1-2 data. VLON had a merger, stocks up on that. And on the negative, you had this BRZE who missed, Massey and ABM. GRND and PRTA are doing an offering. And so not a lot of equity, individual equity news right now. You saw that a bunch of guys on Twitter got indicted last night, the pump and dump crowd. You'll never hear from those guys again. Okay. In my years of watching guys, you know, the feds go after guys on Wall Street, you never hear from them again. You really don't. It's over. They will bring them to their knees. They'll, whether they're guilty or not. Okay, because the lawsuits and all the bullshit is very. The government has deep pockets, and these people don't. Okay, and they'll bring them to their knees, no question. All right, individual research. This charter CHTR is down a bunch this morning because they're going to accelerate their network upgrade, which is going to require higher CapEx. Okay, so that's down. XPIV, Daiwa brings it from a sell, from a buy to a sell, target 8 because of competition and higher rates. Caesars and Penn were downgraded by Bank of America. Momentum growth is slowing. And so that's that. And BBY, neutral to sell. I forget what the reason was there. I think it was the demand issue, but let's take a quick gander. Challenging demand. Yeah, so that's that. VNO was downgraded to sell. I think they're an office REIT. 24 to 19 target stocks 23. So that's another one. I don't see any upgrades. Barclays likes the home builders. OPCO likes Datadog. That's really it. You know, I think these guys are numbskulls. But the chart is a fact. The gaming call is an opinion. And that's that. We have 2 syndicate deals this morning, none of which we really give a shit about. SoFi had some insider buying, okay, which I think is kind of interesting. What else do we have? Earnings wise, what's tonight? We have a few names tonight. We have Lennar, which was upgraded, or was it upgraded? Yeah, it was upgraded by Barclays. TCOM and CLSK tomorrow, nothing until after the close. So that's that. Felix Zuloff, you guys know who he is? He used to be on Barron's Roundtable forever and ever. He was in Barron's, and we never got a chance to talk about what he said. But he's pretty negative on things, of course. Sees corporates lowering prices, lower margins, lower earnings going forward. So kind of in Mike Wilson's camp a little bit. He thinks the Chinese recession deepens. He thinks oil can go as low to 50 to 60 bucks. He thinks the 10-year bond will go down, but he's not really keen on the stock market, which is a little weird. So he thinks the rates will go down and then they'll go back up. I don't know. The guy's always negative, so he's hard to listen to, but he sees a big upheaval in global markets, and he's bearish, but he's always bearish. So much for him. All right, and the big advice is be flat by 2 o'clock. Okay, trade what you trade, and then wait for the big move after the Fed speaks. Okay, we can always make money on that. We'll try to make money on that. All right, and that's it for me. Let's have a good day, guys, and Spartan, it's all yours.
All righty, thank you, South Beach, guys. Morning, what is going on? What's up? So let's take a look what we got going on today. A couple different things. If you guys are new to the chat and have already done so, make sure to click on the Discord link and pop into the the Discord chat from there. If you guys are coming from the free Discord server, you do need to leave the server first and then pop in using that link. Otherwise, you won't be assigned the new rules to see everything in chat. Come in, this is what the chat looks like. First share to go to, guys, when you do come in, disclaimer section, click on that, give it a read, as well as go to the new chat information section, scroll to the top. You can read from the top down. A lot of information there in regards to how we deal with all the ideas that we have, all that good stuff. Pre-market tickers on watch, a couple different things, guys. If you're on the YouTube stream, you can simply just pause it and you can see the pre-market action plan there for all the ideas. Just gonna kind of go over it slowly. You can pause the YouTube and read it through. All the charts are posted as well. A couple different things that we're looking at today: Tesla, CHTR, SEDG, DDOG, RNA, and KYMR. Tesla gapping down a continuation from last day's move. CHTR, Charter Communications set to open lower following investor meeting. SEDG, Solar Technologies upgraded overweight at Barclays, gapping up on that. DDOG, Oppenheimer upgrades to outperform $105 price target. RNA, Avidity bolstered by data on RNA therapy delivered to MUSC, gapping up on that. KYMR, Chimera's stock rallies as it plans to move treatment into phase 2 studies next year. So let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two we're looking at today, guys, is going to be that Tesla and that CHTR. So let's have a gander at those two. We're going to look at the Tesla on the daily chart just because it's easier to see all the levels. So Tesla pivot to the downside, in my opinion, today, 155.92, unable to hold 145.53 to 136.25. Able to hold 165.38 to 177.64 will be the next two levels on the upside, in my opinion. Overall, on Tesla, going to be leaning bearish, looking for continuation lower if that pivot point is unable to hold. CHTR pivot to the downside today is 365.06. Levels unable to hold, in my opinion, 359.96 and 347.33 would be the next two levels. Able to hold 377.02 to 386.83 would be the next two resistance levels on the upside. Overall, going to be leaning bearish, neutral, looking for continuation lower on the CHTR if that pivot point is unable to stay intact today. So that is Tesla, that is CHTR. Next two levels. Next two names that we're looking at today are SEDG and DDOG. Going to keep SEDG on the daily as well. Actually, no, I can probably go to the intraday chart just because I think it's, yeah, you got enough range. You can see everything. 334.87 pivot to the upside today, in my opinion. That level holds 341.07 to 345.62 are the next two levels of resistance I have. Unable to hold 328.66 to 323.70 are the next two levels of support I got. Overall on SEDG, going to be leaning bullish neutral if that pivot point is able to stay intact. DDOG pivot upside today, in my opinion, will be 81.37 level holds, 84.57 to 86.93 would be tested on the upside. In my opinion, unable to hold 71.901 to 76.85 on the downside. Overall on DDOG, going to be leaning bullish neutral if that pivot point is able to hold, in my opinion, on the upside there. So that is DDOG, that is SCDG. Let's take a look at RNA. Let's take a look at KYMR, sorry. RNA pivot upside today, 1520, level hold 1621 to 1690. Next two levels of resistance on the upside, in my opinion. Unable to hold 1450 to 1360 on the downside. Next support levels I have. I'm leaning bullish neutral only if pivot can hold this morning. Then I think we get a little bit of a pop out the gate, and that's about it. KYMR 3514 pivot to the upside today, in my opinion. Level holds 3758 to 3916. Unable to hold 3309 to 3075 will be the next two supports on the downside, in my opinion. Leaning bullish neutral if that pivot point is able to hold. So that is the individual names that we're looking at today. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG here as well. So market, guys, today, I'm going to type this up as I usually do in the option section. Okay, where are you? Option section. SPY 401.50. Pivot to the upside today, in my opinion. This level holds room into the 405.19 resistance breaks. We see we have room into the 408.84 resistance. Pivot unable to hold, room lower into the 397.99 support. Breaks, we see we have room into the 394.55 support. Leaning bullish neutral, in my opinion, before FOMC. So I'm looking for a little bit of a grind higher, not looking for a big move by any means. I think it's going to be more individual based this morning. That's all it's going to be probably focusing on And then we'll see what happens on the FOMC release, of course. Let's take a look at Apple. 145.12 pivot to the upside today, in my opinion. That level holds 146.22 to 147.7. 147.22 would be tested. Unable to hold 144.24 to 142.55 on the downside. Overall on Apple, going to be leaning bullish, neutral, looking for a continuation push higher, in my opinion, today, if that pivot point can hold. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon pivot to the upside today, 92.24. Levels able to hold 94.35 to 96.20 would be tested. Unable to hold 90.77 to 88.18 would be the next two levels I have on the downside. Overall on Amazon, can be leaning bullish neutral only if that pivot point can hold, in my opinion there. Let's take a look at Netflix. Pivot to the upside today, in my opinion, will be the 317.42 level holds 323.53 to 329.61. Next two resistance levels I have on the daily. Unable to hold 308.98 to 364. The support levels I got based off of the daily chart, and leaning bullish neutral, in my opinion, if that pivot point can hold. Let's take a look at Meta. Pivot to the upside today, or downside, I should say, in my opinion, 120.71. Unable to hold 118.66 to 116.50. Able to hold 123.30 would be the next resistance level on the upside. And overall, in my opinion, on Meta, going to be leaning bearish neutral, looking for continuation lower. Let's take a look at Google. 96.04 pivot to the downside today. Levels unable to hold. In my opinion, we got room to 94.02 to 91.63. Able to hold 97.59 to 99.70 would be tested on the upside. Leaning bearish neutral on that one, in my opinion, as well, if the pivot point's unable to hold. I think Meta and Google don't look the best, you know. VIX pivot today is the 23.33 level. I'll be watching that. Above that, I have 24.94, 26.42 as my next two resistance levels, in my opinion, based off of that daily chart. 21.82, 20.51 on the downside, support levels based off of the daily as well. Not leaning any direction, just, you know, those are the levels I got for VIX. And I like to use the VIX for direction on the market typically. Actually, the VXX mainly, but same difference. QQQ's 287.19 pivot to the upside today, in my opinion. Level holds 293.68, 299.49. So these are some levels for the FOMC. On the upside, downside 283.53 to 277.63. And in my opinion, I'll be leaning bullish if we're looking for a little bit of a crawl to the upside today, if that pivot point is able to hold, just similar to the SPY. And then I'm going to be leaning the same way on the IWM. And IWM pivot to the upside today, 182.40 level holds. 182.40 in my opinion, sorry. That level holds 184.41 to 187.11. Next two resistance levels I have on the daily, unable to hold 180.11 to 178.42, the next two support levels I got. And just like the SPY and the Qs, I'm leaning bullish in my opinion if that pivot point is able to hold. So that's SPY, that's FANG. Those are the individual names that we are looking at today. We'll see what happens. I think it should be an interesting day. You know, obviously FOMC day should be pretty busy. We'll see if we get some big range like we did yesterday on the CPI. And yeah, we'll kind of just go from there. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to close down that YouTube stream, guys. If you want to come join us in chat, you can certainly do so. Go to SpartanTrading.com. You can sign up there. And that's about it. Oh, and stay tuned for the charity event next week, as well as the 10 days of giving back to you guys and the followers, and all that stuff starts today as well. So we'll be drawing for that at the end of the day, every single day until the 24th. Anyways, guys, that's it.